Okay, hi everybody, and welcome to another installment of Ozzy and Keats. We're not great, we're just okay, and we're happy to be brought to you by our friends at Podcast Nation, John Keating and Chris Osgood with you, and we are going to be joined by the longtime voice of the Detroit Tigers, Dan Dickerson, on this episode of the show. I'm joining you from Western Michigan, from the shores of Lake Michigan. Chris Osgood is with us from a lake. What's the body of water there in Kelowna, Ozzy?
It's called Kalamalka Lake, and that means lake of many colors.
Okay.
See everything I know now? I do my homework. It's teal green.
It looks spectacular. Yeah,
it's kind of teal green, especially at the end of July. Lake is warm. It's like in the 70s right now. So people are surprised when I say that, how warm it is here. It's kind of in a valley in the Rocky Mountains, and it doesn't snow a lot down here. It obviously does in the mountains, but in the summer it gets 90 plus for quite a while. And our biggest fear is hopefully forest fires don't happen.
Well, I was going to talk to you about that. Can we blame you for the smoke that finds its way to Michigan in each of the last couple of summers?
Just coming out of my ears. That'd be the only thing from you.
I know. Yeah, right.
That's one thing. I was driving back from Detroit to here in Saskatchewan. It was real bad for the smoke because there's a lot up in northern Manitoba, northern Saskatchewan. So it's not good. A couple years ago or three, there was really bad fires near here. So during the course of the day, middle of the day, it looks like it's at night. So we're definitely hoping that doesn't happen again. Those are not only dangerous, but create a lot of other issues as well.
Yeah, and certainly it affects. Not just here in Michigan, but all across North America.
You'd actually be used to it because you grew up in the 70s, 60s, 70s. Am I right? 80s. Yeah. So you were in so many establishments surrounded by smoke. You could smoke in public then. That for you would be normal. You just be outside. Like people say, well, the air quality is not good. You're like, I think the air quality is real good compared to all the bars I visited.
Or even walking through the living room back then, because every mom and dad was smoking Camels and Salems and Marlboros, and at every cocktail gathering we were kids growing up. So nobody knew back then.
Did you ever smoke cigarettes? Did you ever smoke cigarettes?
I did not. I tried it a time or two and realized, well, this is dumb. But I'm old enough, and I just saw a social media post about this. I am old enough that my high school actually had a smoking area, Bishop Foley High School in Madison Heights, where kids could go in between classes or on your lunch break, and you could smoke cigarettes before you return to school. Think about that in today's terms. Could you imagine something like that these days?
Think about the most ridiculous thing. You speak of ideas or things. A smoking section on a plane, like it made a difference.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Just think of that back then when we grew up. Or I remember in the arena I played in Medicine Hat, you could smoke in the stands when I first played my first year there, and there was a haze just above the score clock across the top of the building. And then the next year, to solve that, they put a smoking section. Like it's great. Like just how it progresses, right? And then it went from a smoking section to you had to smoke outside to then being no smoking at all.
Well, and continuing that, just when you would walk into a restaurant, you want smoking or non-smoking? And it wasn't all that long ago that question was a regular part, because people were smoking as they were having a meal or having a drink. And so we're now on the other side of that.
You're lucky that you never smoked, really.
Yeah, didn't have the bug,
really lucky.
Yeah.
I didn't either. I was lucky too. I tried that once, didn't like it. Tried chewing once. I had a Swedish partner, and we all know what chew is in junior. He's a 20-year-old Swedish goalie obviously from Sweden, and he gave me a Swedish chew. I had to drive up this hill in Massachusetts. Show I could barely drive home, John, and I spent the night next to the toilet all night, and I was getting the spins as I was driving. It was dangerous, and I was 17 then. I can't stand. When you try something, whether it's like a shot of a particular alcohol or you have a drink, and it's so bad you can never smell it again. Well, that's what I'm like with chew. So I'm lucky because I play with a lot of guys that chewed. I won't mention their names, but I golfed lots. A lot of guys did that. So I feel fortunate that I eluded both of those two substances for sure.
Well, that's the second time in the history of Ozzy and Keats that your Swedish chew story has made it onto these airwaves.
Have I said that before?
You've shared that story in the past, but it's we have many more viewers and listeners these days than we did back in those days, and so it's appreciated. Again, Dan Dickerson is going to join us here momentarily, but we reached out to people to see if they had more questions that they want to ask. Mostly Chris Osgood, but for both of us, Chris Forey asks Ozzy, of all the wonderful memories made at the Joe, what is your most memorable off-ice memory of Joe Louis Arena?
At Joe Louis?
Off-ice memory, yes.
Off-ice memory. Well, that's easy. I would say that the post-game celebration in '97 for sure.
Sure, yeah.
In the locker room, all the people.
Describe that. What was that like going into the dressing room after you guys had posed for the pictures and skated with a cup and all of that, when it just became, well, it really wasn't you guys, because anybody Jeff Daniels has told the story that somehow he got into your dressing room to be a part of the celebration.
Yeah, there was people in there, and for the most part, you knew who was there, and then other times you're like, hey, who's that? So and back then. Listen, we know security isn't what it used to be. It's not like it is now back then. So, to get in, you could talk your way in. Now there's none of that, barely ever. So there was lots of people in there. We really didn't care. There always was in our locker room, whether it's minor hockey league teams from around the world. Scotty was pretty open in our room, having people come in. Except the media, you would know that.
Except the media. Except the media. I'm here to testify about that. Yeah.
But that was cool. Celebrating with all the people in there, and for God knows how long. Other things in Joe Louis, I would say a few alumni games.
Before you go on, what time did you get to bed after you won the cup in '97?
In '97, all night. Was up all night. All next day. The next day. I don't even remember. '98, landed at the airport, at the hangar.
Yeah.
They had it set for a party. Got home at 6 a.m., maybe more. Got up, did it again. Had the parade, which was awesome. Those are some of my best memories, those parades. Those days were always outstanding. We don't talk about them enough, but wow, it's an incredible vibe, incredible energy downtown in Detroit, down Woodward. Those were great days. Tons of people, tons of fans. I got to spend it with them. Then we go to the bars after and bring the cup with us. And then it was a little more loose. You bartended. You stood on the bar. You partied with the fans. They drank out of the cup. You went to the Tiger game. People came across. They knew the cup was at Chelly's. They had it more than we did, which was cool. But it really was. Those days.
Did '98 feel like more of your cup than '97? Was '98 more special to you?
Well, in '97, and Vernie and I have a great relationship. We still do. I love him. He played outstanding. Obviously, when you're backing up, it's not the same. But it's still just as fun. You have just as much fun. You obviously don't feel like, you're not contributing the same way. So doesn't have as much oomph to it, as much jam as '98 would, where you played every game. Yeah. And I'll never forget the first parade. I was like, I was probably, out of all the cars, I was the third last. So I was like that bad float that nobody's waiting for at the Thanksgiving Day parade. I was coming down. I had a vehicle with a couple of random people, and I was, and all the other guys got the good beer. I got the Busch Lights. I got the secondary stuff.
Easy now.
The next year, I'm sitting at the Hockey Town Cafe, and Stevie Eisman comes up to me and goes, "Oh, by the way, I'm giving you the cup to go down Woodward." So yeah, there was a bit of a difference. That was cool. My
had the cup in your vehicle?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, down Woodward 90. I got pictures of it. I got to find them. That sounds bad when you have a picture of yourself with all those cool people and the fans that are behind you so much down Woodward, and it's just waves of people, and you have the cup and you're going to a car. I got to find those, actually. that's it. Every now and then my mind clicks back into what I should and shouldn't do. That's one of the things I need.
Jeez.
But that
Are
was a
you?
cool day. Those parade days are awesome. And what I like most about them is we go to Chelly's after. We go maybe to the Post downtown. We go to different spots, and all the people would be there. You'd have like normal conversations, just about hockey, about sports, about people saying, "Oh, this is great. I got to drink out of the cup and just didn't talk to you guys." Like, but for the most part, we're just all normal guys who want to have a good time and tried to win. To be hanging out with those people after. I'll never forget the day at Chelly's. We went to the Tiger game, came across. We had the cup there all day. I mean, and the fans were drinking out of it. Where the fans had it just as much as we did, which was great because the history of Detroit. Took a long time to win again in '97. So, I mean, that was a real cool time and a fun time to be a Detroiter and an athlete in Detroit. Always is one of the best sports cities in America by far.
And those fans will never, ever forget the chance to drink out of the Stanley Cup with you guys at Chelly's.
Yeah, I mean, I I remember having it, and we'd kind of rotate, and we weren't even drinking out of it. And Chelly would say, being Chelly, who Chelly is, the guy wants to take care of everybody. We'd rotate of people that were pouring into the people, letting them drink out of it. I mean, somebody would go for a while, and then he'd go, "Okay, you're up next," And it was a constant rotation of players that would that their job at that particular time was to pour beers in it and let all the fans drink out of it. We didn't want anybody who wanted to drink out of it to not have a chance to do that. And it was a great time. I'm sure I do hear stories, run into people that say, back, I remember you had a so-and-so establishment and I got a chance to drink out of the cup. Those are stories. And, I talked to you, we hung out, or I talked to Chelly, or I hung out with whoever. I mean, those are cool stories to that, really make it feel like it was worthwhile. I mean, I don't know what guys do with it now, if they take it to private events, but I mean, back then we were big on making sure that whoever was there, fan wise, or got a chance to drink out of it, because we felt like, and to be honest, our fans were great for us. I mean, we lost some tough series, we lost some bad games that we should have won. We were upset a few years, so they were with us through the thick and thin, and we knew that. We definitely knew that, and now it's easier back then, John, because you got camera phones, you got this, you got that,
Sure.
social media wasn't there, so you're able to do that and have that more personal experience with the fans, and so that's why it makes it that much more memorable and unforgettable.
It was almost more pure because it wasn't a photo op. People were just doing it for the experience. But you and I have talked about this a time or two. I can't. I mean, I've not been in that situation, but I can't imagine the backwash. I mean, you're basically putting your tongue in other people's mouths when you're drinking out of the same cup with strangers at Chelly's bar, and nobody cared.
Like, and not even thinking twice about it. Not even thinking twice. Just keep going, keep doing it. Like it was an organic, if I want to use that word.
Yeah, that's a great word. Yeah.
Plan.
Yeah.
So you never really did. It was just like we were at the Tiger game. I can't remember who threw the first pitch out. I think it was maybe Drapes. I can't remember. And the cup was out there, and the fans cheered. And we're going to Chelly's. We're taking it to Chelly's, and we're going to celebrate with the fans. And that was just what we did. We took it all out there. We took the cup over there. Everybody had a blast. We took it other places too. '97 golf courses. We took it to restaurants. We took it to bars. And I mean, those are the things that are most memorable. I remember I took it to an establishment in Plymouth in '98, I believe it was. It was packed. And in '98, I had it for 4 days because Ken Holland, who lives just down the lake from me this way, if you know it, he had it first for 2 days. All his kids were younger and they're partying too much. And Ken got worried because he was going to bed that something was going to happen with it. And I got a knock on my door at like, I want to say 11:30, almost midnight. It was the cup handler with the cup and saying, "Ken told me to come here. You make sure," because Ken didn't want anything to happen to the cup because he was going to bed. He didn't trust all the teenagers and kids that were there. So he brought it to my house at midnight. So then I had it for 3 nights and 4 days, which was no,
That's crazy.
I don't want it. I loved it. But that's about the way I was back then. That was about a day and a half, about 30 hours too long, where I was
Did you sleep with
Gas.
it? Did you sleep with the cup? Did you sleep with the
Yeah.
cup?
Oh yeah. Slept with it. Drank. Had a party with it down by the water here with my friends from Canada, from
Yeah.
where I grew up in Minnesota. They actually, one of their friends landed at 6 a.m. here, drove to the house. We took a boat across and picked him up at 6:15 because he wanted to come over and see it, and continue to party till like 8:30 a.m. in the morning. God bless my wife Jenna for those days who set up everything for me, but there was no time frame. There's a lot of like all-nighters, 2 or 3 in a row, to be honest. So I'll never forget when the cup guy left. And you love to get it. You love to have it. You see it on TV when Florida won it the last 2 years, and you kind of reminisce about it. But God, John, just like you, I love you to death, but I was never so happy to see you leave.
Well, I thought of Brett Lebda, seeing what the
Oh,
Florida Panthers did to the Stanley Cup, because Chelly famously shared that Brett Lebda dropped the cup at his restaurant in outside of Comerica Park and put a pretty good ding at it. The Florida Panthers beat the hell out of it, really.
oh yeah. It happens every year. I'm amazed. It looks so fantastic when it's on the ice. It's shined up and looks great. The players get a hold of it. It's got to travel from place to place. It does have a case,
Yeah,
by the way. Uh,
yeah.
but people get excited. I mean, to me, if I look at all the trophies from football, NFL, that being MLB, Major League Baseball, and the basketball, by far and away, it's the best trophy. I mean, for starters, you can drink out of it, so that's key.
And then your names
Second,
are on it. Yeah, the names are on it.
second,
That makes it so
you
cool.
can debate it. Probably first is your name is on it for history. Then when the rings get taken off that go around, they go into the Hall of Fame. There's a room
Yeah.
on the main floor where they go in there. So forever you're enshrined there as well. So it's real cool. Your name gets on it. That's outstanding. Secondary, you can drink out of it. And third, it's the best looking trophy around. It's great. 34 pounds of glory. You dream of winning it when you're a kid, especially here in Canada. And I'm sure a lot of American kids do too as well. So it's something that is just.
You mentioned taking the cup to the ball games. Let's bring in the play-by-play voice of the Detroit Tigers for a good long while now. Dan Dickerson joins us on Ozzy and Keats. All right, and it's great to see Double D, who joins us from the broadcast booth at Comerica Park, getting set to describe yet another Tigers game on the radio airwaves. You'll see him sometimes on FanDuel Sports Network as well. As we begin, how much of a Chris Osgood fan were you, Mr. Dickerson?
Oh, come on, man. We covered the Wings, Steve Courtney, Tom Masway, and I pre and
No
post
way.
all those 2 Stanley Cups in a row. Huge Ozzy fan. Are you kidding me?
By the way, best nickname of all time. I just got to start with that. But you know Courtney? Oh my gosh. He's a beauty. I haven't talked to him for a little while. I wish I would, but he was one of my good friends back then too.
Ozzy, you should have seen it. I mean, we were just thrown together. I didn't know him from Adam. I'm like, yeah, he's former FM DJ, and he's gonna be your co-host. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I'm completely not sold on this idea of throwing us together for a talk show on WJR. And then the first night, I'm like, oh, this guy's good. This guy's fun. And he was like the perfect partner. We're two different personalities, but it worked.
How different were those days when there was something special about a sports department at a radio station like WJR before everything exploded into everything that it's become?
Yeah, and I think it's a great point, John, because radio was king in the 80s and 90s. And then, we all, I mean, for various reasons, all the departments shrunk. And it was too bad because that was a vibrant, creative. It was just fun to have a big staff of like 5, and you're going and covering events. But to do pre and post Tigers, pre and post Red Wings, going over to Joe Louis to do the pre and post, doing the post game from the bathroom across the hallway.
Oh, that Joe Louis?
And Joe Louis. But it was so much fun. I mean, but it was the creativity and the people involved. There's not really anything like it anymore. It's too bad because we had a blast.
Did you think at that time that play-by-play was for you? Because you were you were a studio, sports update guy for the longest while. Back then, did you envision the kind of career, probably taking you to Cooperstown that you've ultimately had?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing about being hired at JR, so I'm 15 years into my career being hired a full-time sports guy, to be able to, so the answer is yes, because I was starting to do play-by-play, fill in for Frank Beckman on Michigan football, because at that time he was still doing Tiger baseball through September. So that's, the biggest break. But once I got a taste of that, not just a guy calling high school sports in Grand Rapids, but I'm calling a major sport in a major market, then the bug really is like, yeah, this is what I want to do. I was a reporter, anchor, talk show host, and all of that, but I knew that's what I wanted to do. Did I think it would turn into the Tigers job? No. But I thought it might be a lot of fun to do, Michigan football or Michigan basketball, which I did for a couple of years for a while, because that was a lot of fun.
Dan, any aspirations to do any hockey?
No, it's so funny, Ozzy. So radio, I don't know how anybody does hockey on radio. I think it's impossible. What Ken Kell does to me is ridiculous.
Well, under the conditions he's under, Dan, it's a miracle. It really is.
I don't know how you do it. So I tried it, and that was like, that's too hard. But I did get asked way back in the day from your old boss, John Toohey, John.
Oh, yeah.
Who he's like, hey, he calls me up one day. This is, I don't know, 20 years ago. Hey, have you ever done hockey? I'm like, no. He's like, yeah, I'm kind of stuck here. And, he's down to like his fourth or fifth ask for a college hockey game. I'm like, hey, I hang up the phone. I'm like, I'm not really comfortable doing it, but if you're really in a pinch, call me. And then I hang up and go, well, he's calling me. He's in a pinch, dummy. So I talked to some people, including, bless his heart, Doc Emmerich, who's like, no, you can do this. It's just, so on TV, it's just like, hey, you got two people going to the corner. You're calling it for Michigan State, Ohio State is what it was. It's like, get the guys from Michigan State who are, get those names. And then, so I said yes, and I probably did, 15 games in my career. I loved it, but man, was it stressful when you didn't know the names and the numbers, because you were learning new teams every time you did a game.
I remember those days when you became or agreed to do some college hockey for us, and I thought, this guy's making it look easy. I mean, you just slid right in, and all of a sudden you're just knocking out of the park with a sport that you don't know as well as some of the others. Yeah,
it was just the mechanics of the play-by-play, but TV definitely was doable. Radio, I don't know how anybody does it. I got to do Michigan, Ohio, Miami of Ohio, 1 versus 2 down at Miami. And in those days, I don't know how they are now, but I mean, that was an atmosphere. It's like a 3,000 seat arena, and that was electric. That was a highlight.
Take us through the day, if you would, of the last day of Tiger Stadium. You and I have talked about this story on other platforms, but for people who have not yet heard it, it might be one of the most gracious things done in the history of broadcasting.
Ever. So just to set the scene, so it's on WJR. It's for WJR, the closing of Tiger Stadium. It was on a Monday, if I remember correctly, a 4:00 start, and the coverage was 6 a.m. to midnight. It was an all-day event. And a couple weeks before, because we were doing pre and post, my boss calls me and says, hey, would you like to join Ernie in the booth for the last few innings of that game? Because Jim is going to leave after his innings and go get ready for the post-game ceremony. Jim Price, my partner for 20 years. And I said, sure. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm not going to be, like an analyst or anything, but I get to sit with Ernie Harwell for the last 3 innings. That sounds great. So originally I thought I was going to get to call an inning because Jim was going to leave maybe after the 5th, but no, he's leaving after the 6th. So all my prep is going to go to waste. I'm standing in that little pillbox of a booth that's maybe 8 feet by 5 feet.
Yeah.
Howard Stitzel's behind them. I'm standing next to Stitz, the legendary Howard Stitzel, listening to Jim and Ernie so that I, not repeating all the stuff that they've been talking about. So Ernie gets up during Jim's innings. That was kind of the style back then. He would get up and walk around the press box or go get a hot dog. Stands up and I'm standing there. He'd seen me, but he's like, so what's the plan here? And I'm like, oh boy. Nobody's told Ernie why I'm standing in the booth. I said, well, I think I'm supposed to join you in the 7th and stay out of your way till the end of the game. He goes, you want to do an inning? I'm like, no, it's your last 3 innings at Tiger Stadium. He's like, you want to do an inning? I'm ready. So I'm like, I wasn't going to say no twice. So I said, yeah. I said, okay, here's the plan. We'll come back top of the 7th inning. I'll introduce you and you do the bottom of the 7th and the top of the 8th inning. Last game at Tiger Stadium, he gives me, it turns out to be only 2.5 innings, right? He gives me one of those innings, which was just to me ridiculous. And the other thing that he did, so this is all I've done with baseball is practice. I have never called a minor league game or any game ever, just practice. I'd given Ernie a tape 5 years earlier and he'd listened to it and been very, very helpful. So he wants to put me at ease. As I said, the style back then was not a lot of interplay between whether it was Ernie and Paul Carey or Ernie and Jim.
Sure.
But with me, it was like, folks, you're listening to the Major League debut of Dan Dickerson. Dan, when was your first ball game here at Tiger Stadium? I mean, anything to put me at ease. Very conversational, and that meant the world to me. So I called those 2 half innings, and then I get to listen to him in the top of the 9th inning. Set aside the game and say goodbye to this old beauty of a ballpark, Tiger Stadium. And that, I mean, and I don't think there's any question, John, that those 2 half innings helped get me into the booth the next year.
Well, and your heart rate must have been like a chipmunk at that point, right? when he's bringing you in, and I mean, you must be beside yourself that not only is Ernie bringing you in, but he's giving you a chance to call a chunk of the last game of this ballpark that's been around for a century.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I don't remember being nervous. I think because I'd done a little prep, but again, it was because of how he was making me feel relaxed, and that was a big deal.
What's your favorite Tiger moment in the last 15 years?
I mean, you always think about the postseason, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I always go back to, especially since the Tigers are playing the A's right now as we speak, the playoff games in Oakland.
Yeah,
were some of my very favorite games, because I always want to remind baseball fans, everybody wants to, make fun of the Coliseum, and the Coliseum was a great place to watch a game. If they just maintained it, we wouldn't have heard stories about, things backing up and rats in the booth. Okay, you know what? If you just maintain the ballpark, those things don't happen. Great place to watch a game. The Mount Davis in center field ruined what was a really pretty view of the foothills in the Oakland area. But those crowds, and I've asked a lot of people this, including Andy Dirks, who played in those games. I said, those are some of the best postseason crowds. Loud, boisterous, raucous. And everybody agrees. It's the best atmosphere we've seen outside of Detroit in a visiting ballpark for the postseason. And then, the memory is kind of a collective 2 5-game series wins in back-to-back years with Justin Verlander pitching Game 5, both times a year apart, 17 combined shutout innings on 6 hits. I mean, it was a pitcher at the peak of his powers, and in the most important game, the deciding Game 5, 2 years in a row, he threw 8 and 9 shutout innings.
Wow. The 100-plus game run the Tigers have been on has been incredible, and it's one thing to start it, but it's another thing to sustain it, and they've been just fantastic.
Yeah, Ozzy, I mean, the how 1 year ends doesn't always translate into, the next year, right? I would say the norm is it doesn't. And I think what was so smart is that Scott Harris and this Tigers leadership, basically, they recognized that and said as much going into the offseason. The odds are there's going to be regression unless we add talent and challenge these guys. And I think this is something that's really changed in my years, Ozzy, is just you go into the offseason not to prepare to get ready for next year, but to get better. in some way so that you're going to be better and this team will be better next year. And that's what they all did. They all had their little to-do list. I'm going to get better in this certain area. This is what I need to work on. And they all did that. And now to start this way after finishing that way with the same brand of baseball, meaning aggressive, you've added some power to this offense. You're still playing pitching. They're pitching plus defense, and you excel at run prevention. That was not obvious that was all going to carry into this year, but it has, and it's at a higher level. And that's what I've really enjoyed watching. But it's a concerted effort. Those exit interviews at the end of every season are really important. And what I like about them is that the player has the floor first. You tell us. How did we do this year? What did you see? What would you like to see? What are some of the things that we can do better? And then it's, okay, here's our plan for you going into the postseason. And these guys went to work. Look at what Wenzel Perez has done.
Yeah.
He went to work on hitting from the right side because he knew it was a weakness and he had to address it. He couldn't hit a fastball at the end of the year. Why? Not because he didn't have the bat speed. He didn't have the core strength to do it, to turn on a fastball. He goes to work on his core. And now all of a sudden he's hitting fastballs and hitting with power from the right side. So all of those things, the little details, that they just don't miss a thing, but they also are very smart about how to go about it. All of that is really impressive.
All right, I'll put you on the spot here. Give me the 5 best Tiger players that you have described. Do you have a list of 5?
In my 26 years?
Correct.
Yep.
Woo! I got to get it down to 5.
Yes. Somebody's going to be cut. Somebody's going to be crying because they didn't make Dickerson's list.
Just that I enjoyed watching.
Well, okay, or that that you recognize as they were the best players that that you saw. They might not have been the. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean you got to start with JV and Miggy for sure.
Yeah, sure.
For certain. So those are kind of. Can we just put those aside so I can still have 5?
Sure.
Tarek Skubal is right up there. Just the way he has come back from that flexor tendon surgery is remarkable. I loved watching Maglio. Placido Polanco has got to be on that list because of
underrated.
Underrated, right? I mean, like the perfect 2-hole guy for Jim Leland, but he came to this team at a time when, he just added something to this lineup that was, I don't know if it was missing, but they were building toward 2006. If I remember right, he came in 2005. And, man, he was so fun to watch. I always think of him on the Maglio home run, just like the childlike joy rounding the bases with his little hoodie on because it was cold that night.
Yeah.
Placido Polanco's got to be right up there. I love watching Curtis Granderson. We didn't have him as long as probably we could have. Max Scherzer. You know who else I liked watching? I'm not going to say he's the greatest player we've had, but Doug Fister, when he was on, it was so much fun to watch because he's not throwing hard, but he would throw that sinker in at the right hip of a lefty and then snap back onto the plate. It was like he was really important to that rotation for a few years. Anibal Sanchez was something. Austin Jackson in center field. I like to think of the guys who patrol center field well here. Granderson did it, but I think Austin was probably the best until Parker Meadows has joined this team, and he's at Austin's level, and I think by the time's all said and done, he's going to be probably the best center fielder here, just because there's so much green out there that you have to cover. I love watching those guys.
Well, you look back at the rotation in 2013 when you had.
Oh my God!
I mean, the fact that team didn't win is one of the it still hurts my heart a little bit as somebody who followed the Tigers because I mean there were no chances for opposing teams to breathe. They just couldn't get any hits in the postseason.
It was unbelievable. We asked Jim Leland last year. When we had him on the podcast, what team, if you could go back and manage any team in history, what would it be? You'd think it'd be like, the Big Red Machine from, 75, 76. He immediately goes to the 2013 Tigers.
Yeah.
His first choice would be, I want another crack with that team. And that you're right, it did kind of break your heart because they were the best team in baseball.
Hey, Dan, we'll let you go. We know you're getting ready for a broadcast. We're obviously we're big fans. You and I have known each other forever, going back to the days in Grand Rapids. I don't think either one of us thought back then that we'd have the runs that we've enjoyed. You're still going at it. How much longer do you think, or do you even allow yourself to think?
Yeah, no, as long as I'm still enjoying the heck out of this job, and the travel doesn't bother me, and I'm home, 5 solid months in the off season, maybe less this year. No, as long as I love this job and it energizes me to come to the ballpark, I have no plans for not doing it.
Right.
It'll end someday. I'm not going to go to 80, but another 7, 8, 9 years. I don't know, something like that.
Good for you. Good for you. That's great news for Tiger fans and for me as a fan of yours as well. We appreciate your time. Keep it going. Hopefully get a win there today and in the days going forward, and we'll hope to cross paths soon.
Thanks, Danny.
Absolutely. Hey, good talking to you guys.
Thank you.
Care.
Okay.
Take care.
The great Dan Dickerson joining us on Ozzy and Keats. And so we're going to continue to work on some of the technical aspects of the Ozzy and Keats podcast because it's a challenge for us, isn't it, Ozzy?
Well, we were supposed to get on at 9. We got at 9:47, so expectations are low. Moving forward from here. There's no way we can't do any better than that next time. We'll try, but we might.
I know.
We did it though.
Yeah, right. And we're not great. We're just okay, and we'll aspire to be more okay the next time we join you. Thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you next time on Ozzy and Keats.
Ozzy and Keats is produced by Zachary Davis and Bill McAllister and proudly distributed by Podcast Nation in Troy, Michigan.